Whoop and cheer, Americans, and please welcome to the stage, Mr. Si-Deaves. Yeah! Wonderful. Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, amazing. That's a lovely welcome, so thank you so much. It's a wonderful... I will say that is one of my favourite things about doing stand-up, is getting a welcome like that, because there are very few jobs anywhere else in the world where you're pretty much guaranteed to start every shift with a round of applause. Delightful. Just walking up. Hey. Like, I used to work in Screwfix, and not once when I walked out on stage, there wasn't a stage at Screwfix, and it was a shame because I would have done well. Not once when this is being recorded. we are, 40 seconds in? Wonderful, I fucked up. Not once when I walked out onto the shop floor carrying a discount Milwaukee drill did I get the standing ovation that I truly deserved. But such is the wonder of stand-up. It's wonderful, it's lovely. It's not the standard greeting though, is it? A round of applause. That'd be weird if it was. Like every time you enter the room, that'd be nice, but like it's not standard. We know what the standard greeting is, don't we? It's a little wave. Don't we? We know what a wave means. We all understand a wave, don't we? Do we all understand? Cool, like, because I've just got to confirm, because it has been like a sort of a point of contention in the past, because I once walked on stage at a gig, and as I was walking on stage, I was waving, because we know what a wave says, don't we? As a little sort of a quick message, it means, hello, it's nice to see you, all in a quick little gesture, it's wonderful. And I walked on stage, waving to the audience, ingratiating myself with the crowd, you know? And I walked on stage, and there was a guy in the front row who just turned to his friend and immediately said, oh, watch out, he's trying to do the confident thing. Is that the confident thing? Like, is that, of all the gestures that someone could do, is that the one where you'd look and go, oh, he's showing off? It's weird. Like, I don't know about any of you, but I've never seen someone waving at their friend down the street before and been left thinking, cocky prick. It's a weird reaction. It's really weird. Like, and he seems so angry about it as well, and I love that, because I just love to see him like just trying to get through life. It's such a weird thing to sort of be annoyed about. That's going to affect his life. So, like, I want to see him in sort of different scenarios. You know, like what I don't want to see is him working as a lifeguard on the beach. You know, someone's in the sea, just go, oh, help me. He's just like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. Weird. I don't want to see him working as a taxi driver, you know? Like, taxi? Yeah, we'll see. I do want to see him hailing a taxi, though. I think that would be quite good. You know, some... Taxi? Taxi? And like just sort of later in the evening, you find him like Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining, dead. Good. Cool. Thanks so much for coming. It's wonderful. Thanks for being here. It's, you're very polite. Polite. Weird word, isn't it? So the show itself is called Si-Clops, right? And a lot of people have asked me why the show's called Si-Clops. Some people have come up to me, they said, oh, is it because that's your favourite character from the X-Men? And I have to respond, no, I'm not a fucking loser. No, my favourite X-Men character is Wolverine, so, you know, a bit different. You know, he's cool, isn't he? Like Wolverine, he's much cooler than Si-Clops. And yeah, I feel like I've got a bit of an affinity with Si-Clops, you know, because, not Si-Clops, I do in many ways, because, well, that won't make sense. Can we edit that out? That won't... Okay. Nearly 4 minutes in, that's 2. I've gotten a bit. I feel like I've got a bit of an affinity with Wolverine. Is what I'm trying to say, because, like, you know, arguably the coolest person in any room. So the delay was hurtful, if I'm honest. Fair enough, but like, you know, he's got a sort of a real sort of aloofness to him, and so have I. I think that's fair to say. Like, you know, he's got a different kind of aloofness to me, because I can't get away with being aloof in the same way as Wolverine. Because people go up to him, like in the movies, you know, they go up to him, they're like, "Oh, Wolverine, we need your help with something," and then he'll just go, and people walk away going, "Oh, he's so cool. That is amazing. That's so cool." If someone comes up to me in a bar and they're like, "Oh, Si, we need your help with something," and I say, they walk away going, "He's a prick." They go, "That's a prick." That's fair enough. Like, so I have to try and sort of create my own mystique. Not like the X, but that wasn't it. So it's like 4 X-Men nerds down there. Let's say that was for. To try and create my own enigma, you know. So what I like to do is when I enter rooms full of people that I don't know, like if I go to a party and there's a lot of people there that I don't know, I just walk in and go, oh, hi, Si-Deaves, no relation. Just walk away. And they're all like, no relation to who? Like, they don't know. So they Google me and I'm the only Si-Deaves. So like, they're just finding my website going, it does look like him. It's not me. Yeah. And that's how people think I'm cool. The reason that I called the show Si-Clops, though, is because sort of a few years ago, I had to have a surgery, just quite a sort of a minor surgery on my eye, which, one thing led to another, and it went wrong, and my cornea melted. So I was blind in one eye for like a week. And so when you're blind in one eye and your name is Si-Clops is a fucking good pun. So... That's why the show's called Si-Clops. Basically, just to give you an idea of like what happened with the surgery, the guy that did the first one, he said, it's a really simple surgery, like takes an hour. You sort of in and out. It's really easy. You're done sort of in and like, before lunchtime. You get home for lunch and like we end the thing shooting a UV laser into your eye, and I'm like, well, that sounds cool. I'm like, I want that absolutely. So I went in and I had it done. But he said as well, right? Even if it does go wrong, like there's a 96% success rate, right? Even at 4%, it'll just be viral. We can treat it with antibiotics, and I'm like, that's 100% in my books. Like that is like I'm up for that. Let's do that. So I went in and it melted. But like I didn't know that anything was particularly wrong until I went for the checkup with him a few days later, and because I already felt confident when I turned up to his offices, because in the car park outside was his car, and it was a top of the range Mercedes, and it had the personalised number plate iDoc. Come on, he's got some balls, hasn't he? Like, you've got to know that you're the shit if you're going to be called... Like, either that was just a massive fan of Apple-based word processing software. That's the other option. The only thing that would have made me feel more confident about it is if he was stood in the car park just waving me in. It's like, look at him. So I got into his office, right? And this is where he did something that was even cooler than waving, right? Because I walked into his office and he had his back to the door. Right, and as I went in, he went, Mr. Deaves, we've been expecting you. How cool is that? That's some kind of Bond villain. It's incredible. It's like, holy shit, like we're on a roll here. The problem is, right, when this was the moment I realised that something had gone wrong, because these were genuinely the first words out of his mouth when he saw me. He said, Mr. Deaves, we've been expecting you. Oh, shit. I had a panic. I didn't feel good. Did not feel good. So basically, like we had to get a surgery done, and I got someone else's cornea hand stitched into my eye, which is fucking cool, isn't it? That's like modern technology for you. That's an amazing thing. I'll be honest with you, I was worried that the cornea had previously belonged to a racist person, and that might sort of influence me. I just find myself one eye, just like, no, don't like you. Well, okay. Sure. I'm not an edgy comedian, but maybe. Okay, drinking water is the funniest thing I've done so far. For her, that's... Sure, we've all got a thing. That's yours, apparently. Oh, he likes to be hydrated. Fair enough. You okay? Wonderful. I've just remembered what your laugh sounds like. Out loud, so I'm looking forward to that later. That's it's a fucking thing to behold, and like there'll be no question about who it is that's laughing. I should point out I've seen her at a show before, and it is a wonderful laugh. So please let it free. And I'll tell you what I'll do is if at any point I think you might be close, I'm going to drink some water, see what happens. Really set her off. I'm not going to tell you too much about the surgery, in any sort of one go, because I've tried that before, and the reports back were that it is too much. So I'm going to split it up sort of throughout the show. I'm going to do some other bits in the meantime. here's the thing, right? Because after I did have that surgery, like I had a lot of things that I had to do. There were a lot of rules to follow. And there are a lot of rules in life. Oh, what a segue. Wonderful. We've done a segue. There's a lot of rules in life, a lot of arbitrary rules that we put upon ourselves. We know quite often that they're based on some kind of lie, but we hear them, we accept them, we live by them anyway. Like, one of my favourite lies is, and this is a wonderful one, this is, you can help me finish this if you know this actually, because this is, if it's brown, flush it down. If it's yellow, if it's yellow, drink more water. You're dehydrated. There's another one as well that I like, which is that you should never walk under ladders because it brings bad luck. That's what they say, isn't it? And luck in itself is a sort of quite questionable construct. But like the idea that if you walk under a ladder, like it's insane. Because I mean, as well, like I grew up in a town that had quite narrow paths, and if there was a ladder on the path and you didn't walk underneath it, you walked into traffic. I think that's worse. There's the last rule that I particularly like is the rule, and I'm sure many of you will have heard this, and it's sort of like it's based on an element of truth, but crucially it is a lie, and that is the rule that if you don't wash your hair for long enough, it starts to clean itself. We heard that rule? It's basically it's a lie because so I've done some reading, and when I say I've done some reading, I googled it, which is gives you the best answers, I believe. So what Google said was that there was someone, they said they've done it, and basically like it does start to clean itself, but then essentially just creates a barrier over your hair to stop any more dirt from getting on. So all that's really happened is your hair's got so dirty that it's had to develop sentience and say, well, fuck it, I'm going to have to sort this out, aren't I? It's disgusting. Like your hair's got so dirty that it's had to like operate its own one-in, one-out system for dirt. It's horrendous. It smells, man. People say to me, oh, it's amazing, Si, it gives your hair new life, you should try it. Like, yeah, it gives your hair new life in the same way that if you leave a dirty plate on the side for long enough, it also develops new life. Gross. There's rules that don't exist that I think should as well. Like, there's fairly important things, I think, because like, there's phrases that people use all the time, and I think that could be detrimental to people's mental health, to society, you know. Like one of those phrases, it could be worse. Hear that a lot, don't we? You know, like someone's talking about something, they're talking about something that matters to them, and they say, oh, don't worry, it could be worse. And that's horrible. It's a horrible thing to say, because that issue matters to them. It matters to that person, and that's relevant. And you are absolutely allowed to feel that pain, no matter what it is that is relevant to you, and you are allowed to feel it. And also, you wouldn't do it the other way around, would you? It's a weird concept of just, oh, yeah, it could be better. Imagine saying that in, you know, like, oh, you go to someone's wedding and like, just, oh, yeah, thanks so much for having me. Like, it's a wonderful day. You know, we had a lovely time. Could be better. I know you spent a lot of money on it, but could be better. I mean, imagine if your uncle hadn't said that racist comment in that speech. That would have been a much better situation. Your baby's lovely. It's so nice to meet them, finally. Like, oh, yeah, wonderful. Yeah, it could be better. It's a horrible thing. Look, I could be better. But, you know, the thing is, you look at them and you say, it's weird eyes, isn't it? That's what... Which sounds like a harsh thing to say, talk about a baby's weird... But I'm calling you a liar if you've never met one of your friend's children and been left going, oh, yeah... Oh, wonderful. Well done. We've all done it. It's horrible. We shouldn't do it. So basically, like the surgery that I had, the replacing of my cornea, that led to basically like, where it's done in sort of somewhat of a hurry. I've been on quite strong steroids to make sure that my cornea stays. Because if you imagine like my eye is a biker bar, right? Full of bikers. They're all scary, right? And you turn up, and my cornea in this particular situation is a geeky little dweeb, and he turns up and he walks into the bar, and everyone turns around and goes, "Who the fuck are you? You need to get out." And then what the cornea does, right, is it buys the steroids, which in this particular situation are tequila, and a lot of it, and then they say, you can stay, actually, that's fine. So I've had a lot of steroid drops put into my eye, and they allowed my cornea to stay. Now, If you don't know what steroids are, they're basically a growth hormone. Because we all know people sort of, get big and muscly, same thing. But what was caused to grow in my eye via the steroid drops was a cataract. Now, I don't know if anyone here is over the age of 80, but cataract surgery, not great. I was in there, and I was in the waiting room waiting for the cataract surgery to be done, and there was I was the youngest person in the room by about 60 years. But I'm sitting there in the room, sort of like waiting, and then the woman came in with a clipboard and sort of calling off names like the nurse, as they do. And I'm sure we've all had this situation as well, because there was something that happened there, right? It was weird, but it happens to me surprisingly regularly. Because she went in, she said, "Tim Johnson, Tim Johnson," and then everyone else in the room's looking around, going, "Is he dead?" Who the fuck's Tim Johnson? No one knows. And but everyone's like, they get to a point where everyone's like looking around at different people in the room, just being like, "Are you Tim Johnson? Are you Tim Johnson?" And everyone's like eliminating everyone else. And eventually they all end up looking at me and going, "We have eliminated everyone else, and therefore you must be Tim Johnson." And then I'm sitting there going, "Have I got it wrong? What's he having? Is it something good? Let's find out." Eventually, though, she calls outside Deaves, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's me. No relation." Does look like him. She comes up to me and she had some questions on her clipboard, and she's going through them, and she said, "So, which eye is it you think you're having surgery done on today?" Sorry, don't you know? I'm not sure I should be the one that you're asking this question to. And I said, "Left," and then she went, as if I wasn't already scared. Jesus Christ, that's terrifying. And then she said, actually, the next thing she did was pulled out a Sharpie and drew an arrow over my eye. Presumably that was just in case the surgeon walked in and went, left eye. Is that my left or his left? You got it right? He's there, the guy. He did the surgery, thank you. Did a good job, it's fine. But she also said, and what surgery is it you think you're having done today? I'm like, I shouldn't be the one you're asking these questions to. Like, I'm very fucking concerned. And she said, cataract surgery, and she went, "Oh, good." How many times has that gone wrong? So I went into the room to have the operating room to have the surgery done. And I'm lying on the bed, and sort of a number of things happened that sort of threw me off a little bit, that didn't make me feel all brilliant about the situation. Because I felt sort of like fairly confident, because it was young James who did the surgery for me, and like he was doing very well. He was chatting to me the entire time, trying to keep me calm, which was lovely. But then there were a number of things that sort of happened that did concern me, because. Number one, in surgical show, like ER and that sort of thing, they have like a paper window that they stick over a thing where they're doing the surgery. Like, they had one of those and they put it on my eye, and there wasn't a hole. And I thought, well, something's gone wrong here. Also, they've covered up the fucking arrow, so hopefully they get it right. I'm laying there and I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen now. And it was a slightly weird moment. And then what happened was scissors came through. And I thought, well, that's how the surgeries happen, isn't it? By surprise. Straight in. I'm fucking terrified. I've got to take this opportunity, by the way, to sing the praises of scissors. I don't think they get enough. Praise, because they should do. Let's face it, scissors are the best blades, aren't they? I think that's fair to say. But they don't even feature in the top 5 of the rankings. Let's face it, top 5: saw, sword, Dyson Air. It's a good blade. Wesley Snipes, one of the best blades. Let's face it. Number 1, razor blade, because that is the blade by which all other blades are measured, isn't it? That's because I was watching TV the other day, an advert came on for this kitchen knife. It's like Japanese folded steel. It was amazing. Like they said, it's made over, I don't know, like 8,000 years or something. And they said it's like £500 for this Japanese folded steel kitchen knife. Amazing. It's razor sharp. Do you know what else is razor sharp and 50 pence? Razors. It's insane. It's bizarre. People think that prisoners are barbarians. They're going in they've got the sort of razor blades stuck to their toothbrushes, and honestly, they're saving the prison system thousands. Use those in the kitchens. It's a good idea. But also, like scissors, they don't get enough. Scissors, they are because you can use those to sort of cut without having to lean against anything. Wonderful. You can ruin a left-handed person's day. See him struggle with that shit. That's amazing. You can curl ribbon. Nobody's as impressed as I am, but I love it. I love a little curl ribbon. I've got a bunch of ribbon at home. Sometimes I'll just curl it by myself. They say the pen is mightier than the sword, don't they? That's we're all familiar with that. That's Shakespeare, right? And what's mightier than a pen? Two swords. Do you know what else two swords are? Scissors. So better than pens. Also, crucially, the main thing about scissors, they can do that thing, through paper. Oh my word. It's almost sexual. It's wonderful. It's such an absolute joy. Yeah. So I was on the surgery bed, and I'm laying there, and then a bunch of stuff's gone in my eye, like a load of drops. Basically, I couldn't really see anything at this point, and then there was a noise that came on, and I might ask you about this after actually, because I need you to clear up what the fuck it was, because still to this point I don't know. It was unmistakably the sound of a dentist drill. You know that sound that sends shivers through the spines of thousands. And I'm laying there thinking, what the fuck is that? They're surely not going to do surgery with a dentist drill. And then it turned off, and that was the last I heard of that. Presumably, they were just playing a game of Willy Wet himself. I didn't. No, I held strong. I did well, actually. I got through that. It's wonderful. And then the next thing he said to me, right, he said, now, what I need you to do for the next sort of 5 minutes or so is just... You can't respond to anything. You can't say anything out loud. You can't respond to anything at all, because if you do, right, there's a good chance that your eye will move, and then there's a good chance, as a result of that you'll be blind. Is that all right? Don't ask me a fucking question. It's ridiculous. I had to work out how to say yes with one eye. It was this. Horrible. Next thing he said was, do you know Liz? And I was like, what? Stop asking me questions! What's wrong with you? I do know Liz. Liz is there. Liz is an ophthalmologist that I've been seeing for a good while. Not seen her in a little while, wasn't sure why. I knew she was pregnant, thought it was because of that, right? Now... How's that for you? Is that good? Don't know what's happening. I like it, though. So he said to me, do you know Liz? And I said... I don't know, should we let this carry on, or should I crack on over the top? Can we just clip this up and then use that laughter over the whole show? That'd be wonderful. So he said, Liz, she was recently on a trip. She did the 3 Peaks Challenge, climbed up 3 mountains in 2 days. 2 days? No, but you climbed some mountains? Yeah. Cool. Don't ruin the show. This is not the time to start disagreeing. I shouldn't have asked, really. It's my own fault. Let's pretend she did the 3 Peaks Challenge, and that's more impressive than whatever the fuck it was she did. She definitely climbs the mountains. We know that much. That is absolutely true. And on climbing down the last mountain, or possibly the only mountain, we're not sure. She was in view of her car, right? Very, very close to her car. Could see it. Fell over, broke her leg. Yeah. She had to call mountain rescue in view of the vehicle she was going to drive home. Imagine that. That's gutting. What a horrible feeling. Anyway, and then he said, yeah, it's amazing how easy accidents happen, isn't it? Now, don't say anything, otherwise this is your fault. I did wet myself at that point. That was really got me. That was horrible. I saw a friend of mine a couple of days after the surgery, because it was incredible. The cataract surgery, it's amazing. Like, I could see so clearly, just immediately afterwards. But I ran into a friend of mine a couple of days later, and he said, "Oh, how'd your surgery go?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's great, man. It's really good, thank you." And he said, "Oh, cool." So, sorry, are you upset? Why? What were you upset by? And he said, "Oh, I thought you'd be wearing an eye patch." Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not out doing a fucking pirate impression, dickhead. Unfortunately, I did actually say that out loud. He punched me in the face. I did have to wear an eye patch. So fair enough. Now, do you want to hear about the worst day of my life? Yeah, that's the most energy you've shown all evening. Yes, please. Cool. It's right. Okay. Basically, for context to this story, I'd been ill for a few days. Now, this was pre-pandemic, so it wasn't like concerning ill. It's just a bit diarrhea, just a bit, messy. But basically, like I was, this was pre-COVID, so this was in my old job. I used to work in a music shop selling drums, and on this particular day, right, this was like the third or fourth day. And I'm up there, like, and I'm building this drum kit, sort of like bent over. And, like, you know when you've been ill for a few days and then all of a sudden, like, you feel better and you forget that you've been ill? I had that going on, right? It was like a sort of an unnecessary level of confidence. So I'd forgotten that I'd been ill, and I'm sitting there building this drum kit, and my brain went, "You need to fart." And I was like, "Great, let rip." To be honest, I'm good at it. Like, I do it all the time. I've been doing it the whole time I've been up here, not a problem. However, on this particular day, I started to fart, and my brain kicked in again and said, "Do you remember you have been ill?" Oh yeah, okay, right, snip that off. Now, normally, I've got a very good conversation between my brain and my body, and if my brain says stop farting, my body will go, "Yeah, okay, cool." And then I'm sort of like, I'll confidently walk down to the toilet. I'm clenching my butt cheeks, if you can't tell. Then I'll get down there and I'll do whatever I've got to do, and we're all good. On this particular day, my body turned around and said, "You're not the boss of me." Followed through. Made a mess. Made a real mess. So I had to get to the toilet to go and sort of clean myself up, go and sort everything out. And the toilet was downstairs. It was at the back of the shop, right? So I've sort of like I've made my way down there. This was how I had to walk. Made my way to the back of the shop, and I've got into the bathroom, and I'm sitting there, and like I sort of start cleaning. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't like a full sort of exploded soup in a microwave situation. It wasn't that bad. It was more like when you go to throw a tea bag in the bin and you miss. Broadly fine. I can cope with that. That's okay. So I was cleaning it up, but like it wasn't that bad, but it was too bad to carry on the day at work. So I thought, right, I need to go and sort this out. So I opened the door to the toilet, and I saw my boss on the other side of the room, and I just called him over, and he came over, and he was like, "What's going on?" And I said, I need to go home. And I don't know if you've ever said that to your boss in the middle of a working day, but he said, "No." No, you don't understand. I've done a poo. And considering I was stood in the toilet at the time, he just said, "Well done." There it is. I said, "No, you don't understand. I was upstairs at the time." And he said, "Well, we don't have a toilet upstairs." And I said, "Well, therein lies the problem. That's where it all went wrong." And I explained the situation. He said, "Yeah, okay, you better go home, actually. That's fair enough." So I had to sneak out of the shop because I didn't want the rest of my colleagues to find out what had been going on. Like, I didn't want to feel worse about the situation. So I just had to sneak out. The problem is the front tills are right by the front doors, and it was a slow day, so everyone was there. So I had to try and sneak out past them. Now there's a big Sainsbury's around the corner from where it was happening, and so I thought, right, I'm just going to tell them that I'm nipping out for lunch. I'll be gone for sort of half an hour, whatever I'm doing, and then I'll come back, and we're all good. Except I was trying to sneak out past them, trying to convince them that I was going for lunch in full motorbike gear. They didn't buy it, and so like they just looked at me and they were like, "Where are you going?" So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to have to think of something really quickly. What's good? I've shit myself. Fair enough, see you later. Now, the thing is, right, once having cacked one's undercrackers, I didn't know what phrase I was going to go for there, and that surprised me. A lot of people would think that the worst thing you could possibly do is then get on a motorbike and ride yourself home. But I would argue it's the best thing you could possibly do, because what you're doing there, if you keep moving, is creating a situation where you're constantly upwind of your own bum. So, wonderful. Also, if anyone annoys you, you rub your bum on them and you leave a different kind of skid mark. I'm happy with that line, I don't care. So I got home, right, and I got home as quickly as I could, and I just had to rush into my house and try and sort of clean myself up. And so my partner at the time and we had a motion sensing camera in the living room, and this is before the days of sort of Ring doorbells, and or before we had one at least. And then she just saw someone in full motorbike gear running through the house in what looked like a hurry. And so she's panicked because she knew we were both at work. So she's just texted me and she was like, someone's in the house, what's going on? And I said, yeah, that's me. She's like, what? Why? Are you okay? And I said, no. And then she said, what's wrong? Now, I didn't want to be in a situation, having explained that, where she came home from work having already left me. So I blocked her. Deal with that later. That's the best way to do it. So I got up to the bathroom, right, thinking, right, that fire is put out. And then I got into the bathroom, and this is where the day starts to get sad. Up till now, it's been a pretty good day, actually. It's not too bad. Because that was when I went to turn the shower on, right? I turned the switch on at the wall, and then I turned the shower on. Nothing happened. And that shower is broken. Like, fully, that's not coming back on, that is broken. And I started to panic, and I didn't know what to do. So I did the only thing that I could do, which is I climbed into my bath and just sort of slowly placed myself under the tap. And my only recourse was to gently lap tepid water against my own anus. I'm very aware at this point that the cameras are over there. And also, you're missing out, so... it's just like that. It was at that point, right, that I looked over to the side of the bathroom and I saw the mirror, and I caught a glimpse of myself. And I'll be honest with you, that was when I started crying. But this is a low point. This is a particularly depressing point in my day. And then, right, I started to get a little bit paranoid, because I thought, okay, my partner at the time, she only worked down the road, and she's going to be concerned about me because all of a sudden I've randomly blocked her, and she doesn't know what's going on. She's going to come home, she's going to find me just crying in the bath, and then I know her, she'd just tell everyone. She'd just tell everyone that we know. But it's fair enough, you would do, wouldn't you? That's fair, that is fair enough. And I don't think my ego would have been able to deal with that. So if that had happened, then my only option would be, I've had a good life. Out the window, call it quits. That would do. I can't deal with people knowing that about me. But then the problem is we didn't live in a very big house, so if I did do that, I would just landed in my neighbour's garden with quite badly broken legs and just sort of covered in a pool of my own effluence. And my neighbour was the hardest guy on the street as well. So he was a boxer. He would have at some point found me and then just kicked the shit back into me. It was a bad day. But as soon as I got to that point, I suddenly realised I'd finished cleaning. I was good. I was good to go. I was good to sort of she hadn't come home, she hadn't found me, and I was pretty clean and I was happy. And it was at that point I looked at myself again in the mirror and I smiled. And I thought, it could be worse. Fair enough, it could be worse. That does make sense in that situation. Yeah, okay, right. Okay. Okay. We ready? Shall I start? Yeah. I have started. That's the worst thing about that. basically, like when we're looking at like random rules that we live by, as we have been, and music, as I was talking about, right? There's another thing, and because sometimes we take on rules to ourselves, and we sort of label them on other people, and like we'll make an assumption about something like this is a great way to do it, and you're doing it wrong, and that happens all the time. For instance, people tell me on a surprisingly regular basis that I don't enjoy music correctly. It's a weird thing to say, isn't it? Like it's a weird thing to say, and it's because there's two reasons. Because like, I go to quite a lot of gigs, and when people see me at gigs, like basically I'm stood there doing this. That is the extent of it, right? Because and then people look at me and they're like, "You're not doing this, right? Like you're messing this up." Because when you're at a gig, you're supposed to do one of two things: you either sing along or you dance, right? Now I don't dance because when I do dance, it looks like this. I once did this for long enough at a gig that someone in the front row just said, "Please stop." I didn't. Fucker. There's a weird dance, isn't it? So there's a bad dance. I can't do that in public. I'm aware that I've just done that on camera for thousands of people to see on the internet, but here we are. The reason I can't sing along to songs, because I don't do that either, is I don't know the lyrics to any songs. I just don't. I can't pick the lyrics up to anything. Like I can remember like an hour of stand-up. I just can't remember the lyrics to any songs. And like, actually, that's a lie. I know the lyrics to 2 songs, and one of those is "Happy Birthday." And even that is dependent upon whether or not I know whose birthday it is. It's tricky. I can't even do karaoke because I just spend the whole time looking at the screen with the lyrics coming up, going, "Really?" So I had to get glasses because of all the surgeries. That was a sort of a result. Actually, I had the option of getting contact lenses, but I can't do contact lenses because I had to have one contact lens put in at one point, and it took 3 people. So I was like, we probably don't have the staff to do that. So I went with glasses, and I was a bit worried about getting glasses because. Like, I remember sort of growing up in the 90s at school, there was quite a sort of common insult that you'd shout at people that wore glasses. Do we all know what it is? Yeah, actually, I shouldn't have got you to shout that out. That was quite, it's quite triggering. It was upsetting. It's 4 eyes, though, isn't it? That's the we all know. We all know, and like it's horrible as well. It also doesn't make sense because unless they're actually referring to refraction, leaving an image of your own eye on the lens, in which case that's fucking clever. The bullies have done their research. That's now because it's bizarre. Because if technically they are referring to the refraction, then if you ever see someone wearing glasses looking through a window, technically 6 eyes. That's just science, isn't it? That just makes. Also, if you ever see someone wearing glasses looking in a mirror, 8 eyes. That is. Suddenly they're a spider, and you need to find a glass big enough to put them in. It's tricky. It doesn't make sense. It's a bizarre insult as well. It's a horror. I've heard it shouted with absolute venom. Like I particularly remember one time, my dad was. We were going on holiday when we were younger, and my dad's driving down the A14. We were going to Norfolk because we were doing well. No, we weren't. And we're driving along, right? And there's a guy who'd been driving really close up behind my dad for ages. And my dad was starting to get sort of a bit antsy, and he was getting a bit angry. And he's like, "Oh, bloody, just go past us. There's no one else." Right? It's like, "No other cars. No, it's just getting angry. Just go bloody past." And the guy eventually sort of he went past him. My dad just turned around and he just went, "Yeah, off you go, 4 eyes." Horrible. Like, imagine just he's mocking someone for what is essentially a disability that they can't do anything about. Like, they can't help it. They can't help that he's wearing glasses. But also, the only reason that my dad knew that he was wearing glasses is that he himself was wearing glasses. It's insane. Thankfully, I got glasses and I look great. So, okay. I used to suffer from a bit of road rage myself. That is true. Because basically, like, I'm anxious. Is that clear? Not right now, just in general. No, I am anxious right now as well. That's why I'm sweating. But I'm just an anxious fellow. And like, basically, before I knew what anxiety was and I didn't understand it, I just used to randomly get angry like all the time. And when you're driving, it's a bit like sort of a hyper anxiety sort of thing to do. And so. like, if someone was sort of driving up behind me and they'd been a dickhead, I'd wind the window down and I'd just shout, "Suck my dick!" Wonderful. It's a great insult, because like 9 times out of 10, they just go, "No thank you," and drive away. 1 time out of 10, they will kick the shit out of you, but that's fair enough. There's the odds you've got to take. However, once I did discover what anxiety was, and I learnt to meditate, and I started sort of doing all that, and I started feeling better about myself. And I found if I was getting angry, I'd do breathing exercises, and I'd feel great, and it would all go away, and it's wonderful. The problem is, right, because when I was getting angry all the time, I was good at it. I was basically a pro. Like, I was excellent at getting angry. So good, in fact, right? My favourite time that someone ever got angry, like following road rage, was I was driving down the A13, as we know, a sort of dual carriageway, and there was a car, like, he was driving really close up behind me for ages, and then, like, eventually he, I may or may not have brake checked him. I shouldn't have, but I did, and then he pulled up beside me, and then he's just started shouting abuse at me, right? And this is how angry that guy got, because I just mouthed to him, "Oh, my dick," and he was like, "Ugh," and he wound his window down. This is how angry he was. He threw his KFC at me. That is an immense level of anger. Like, I don't know how people get there. My absolute favourite thing about that situation is that we were driving at 70 miles an hour. He threw that KFC at me. It just straight behind us. Never even touched me. It was wonderful. Like, he was hungry and angry. It was, oh. Well, finger looking good. It was great. No, she was drinking as well. It's not funny that time. There was one particular time. Like I say, I've been meditating, right? So I was out of practice at being angry. But there's this guy, and it was late at night. I was driving home from a gig, and he's driving like really, really close up behind me. And I was getting anxious, and I was like, do you breathe in? But it didn't matter, I was getting anxious anyway, and it was building up a minute, and I had this anger. And then he pulled up beside me, and like for absolutely no reason, just started screaming abuse at me. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, I'm just trying to stay calm, and I couldn't. And I just thought, right, sod it, I'm just going to let him have both barrels. And I wound the window down, and I remembered what I used to shout, "Suck my dick," and what I shouted at him, because I was out of practice, was, "I can suck your dick if you like." It's absolutely true. That is what I love. I was as confused, because he looks confused, and I was like, I don't know either. I genuinely got no idea. That was such a weird thing to shout. Also, what I particularly love about it is not only did I get it wrong, but I was very polite. If you like. So weird. Cool. Yeah, but I got glasses, and. What I should say about the cataract surgery when I got it, right, is, like I say, the steroid drops have been keeping my eye drunk for a long time, and that cataract surgery essentially sobered up that biker bar, and that biker bar immediately turned around and said, fuck off. So basically I had to go in for a checkup a few days later, and the guy in there, he just said, yeah, your cornea is rejecting. Like, we need to give you 2 steroid injections directly into your eye. Yeah, that was a weird response, and I loved it. It was she just slapping her thighs. Like, ugh. And it was, honestly, of all the things that I had, that was the absolute worst. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. The thing is, right, the guy's there, and he's got another clipboard, right, and he's read the questions that he had to, and then he went, right, I just need to fill out this form, and then we'll get started. And then he started going, oh, where's my pen? Where's my pen? Oh, I can't find my pen. Oh, you know you're having a bad day when you can't find your pen. Oh, you having a bad day? Fucking pick. Like, it was ridiculous. I said, get some perspective, which is ironic, because that is what I was there for. Now, where are we? Okay. Oh, we've got through the show too quickly. Shall I improvise some bits, or shall we just end it? Yeah, no, good, okay, we'll... Have I missed it? Have I missed any bits? I haven't, I've done it all, but... What happened was I filled some of the silences with my own material. We've run out of show. Dan, you're going to have an easier time, man. There's less to do. You do have to cut this bit out, though. That won't... Maybe we just leave that laughing and nothing else. So, right. Oh, I don't know if I can concentrate now. She's gone. She's gone. She's... This is how we feel the rest of the show, by the way. It's just... I insisted she come. She's on my rider. Amazing. Can we put a microphone on her? Just... Oh, we're having a nice time. So basically, yeah. Before I finish, I've got two more things to do. But before I do that, I just want to say thank you so much for coming down. You've been absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Thanks very much. Yeah. Don't get too excited. It's not over yet. You're just some of you started clapping like he's fucking gone. I stopped paying attention 10 minutes ago. And cool. So yeah, thank you for coming down. Thank you to Elvira for having me here at 21. Thank you to Dan for filming the show. Thank you to Ross McGrain for opening for me. It's been a wonderful evening. I've had a really lovely time. Yeah, I didn't expect that, but lovely. This same thing happened last night. We had a really weird gig, and I got 4 rounds of applause, and I don't know why. Right, so before I go, I just want to tell you a little story about an ex-flatmate of mine, and you'll realise why he's an ex-flatmate as we get into the story, because he was grubby, like. He lived like a monster, that was horrendous. Because we moved into a new build flat, and when you move into a new build flat and you've got any level of anxiety at all, like it's an opportunity to keep it all neat and perfect from the moment you move in, and that is what I did, and I felt good about it. I absolutely loved it. It's so nice. I kept the whole flat pristine, except for his bedroom, because that's his domain, isn't it? Like he's got to clean that up. That's fair enough. That seems fair to me. But like, so I'll just leave that to him. But like, he's the kind of guy that like. You know the socks that you buy that are so cheap that as soon as you put them on, they start to molt? Like, his bedroom floor looked like it had leprosy. It was a bad look. But, like, he'd be there, the floor would be getting worse and worse, and I'd be there sort of cleaning the flat again that day. And I'd peer my head into his bedroom, and I'd just looking at the floor's horrendous, and I'd just say, when are you going to clean your floor? And he'd just go, I don't know. Might not. No worries, man. That's absolutely fine. You live your best life. You've got to do what you've got to do. You make yourself happy. Now, I don't know if anyone's ever not slept for 2 weeks, but wouldn't recommend it. Basically, there was one day, and he was out, because he's got a real job, and I was going past his bedroom, and I looked in, and the floor was it was like the worst it's ever been. It's absolutely awful. And I saw my opportunity. Thankfully, I had the Hoover in my hand. I was ready. And I thought, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to go in. I'm just going to clean this floor. I'm just going to cave. I'm just going to do it. And I started to Hoover his floor. And have you ever seen the floor getting physically clean in front of you? Oh. Absolutely correct response. That is, oh my word, best wank I've ever had. That was, yeah. Lovely. I made his bed as well. Was that too far? Is that weird? Shouldn't have had a wank in it really, but there you go. I just made eye contact with my ophthalmologist. She's doing this. Fair enough. Thing is, right, I didn't want him to feel smug, my flatmate. I didn't want him to feel like he'd won. So I didn't mention it to him. I thought, he's an idiot. He won't notice, right? He just won't notice it's got clean, and he won't notice it's getting worse again. So I just never mentioned it. But I saw him the next day, and he looked smug. And he's walking around just like, and I was like, he thinks he's won. He thinks he's bloody won. So, right, okay, cool, that's fine. I'm never going to clean his bedroom floor again. Like, I'll just leave that, and I'll just never do it. And, like, I'll never clean it, and he could do it, and he won't do it, and I won't do it. But it's absolutely fine. So I cleaned his bedroom in secret for 3 months. Is that normal? Basically, like after about 3 months, I snapped, and it was getting worse and worse and worse, and I just snapped, and I just said to him, "When are you going to clean your fucking floor, man?" And he just looked at me and he went, "I don't need to, do I?" Son of a bitch! Like, he thinks he's won. He absolutely thinks he's won, and technically he's right. He does, and he thinks he's won. And I was so angry, and I was trying to think something like just really witty and cutty to just cut him down. And before I could think of anything to say, he just turned around and he went, "Yeah, and do you want to know why?" It's a weird question to ask, isn't it? Like, I know why. I've been cleaning his bedroom in secret for the past 3 months. So I thought, fine, I'm going to let him hang himself on this one. I said, "Go on, why?" He said, "Well, it's like hair, isn't it? Leave it for long enough, just starts to clean itself." The worst, absolute worst. Okay. So just to let you know, because a lot of people ask me like what my vision's like now, because obviously sort of I've been through sort of a bit of turmoil. We go through an awful lot of stuff. People do often ask for an update after the show. So just to show, like, basically, I had a checkup recently with an ophthalmologist, and he said, you know, this is like, it's so much better than we thought it would ever be. We're really pleased. We're really pleased with what's happened. Like, it's just so much better than we thought it would ever be. And obviously, there's room for improvement, but you just don't see this sort of thing very often. And just to give you an idea of how often you see this sort of thing, he took my eye, not my eye, he took the case of my eye to a symposium in Holland. That's cool, isn't it? But also that means that more people have seen my eye than have seen me do stand-up, which is quite upsetting. But he did. He said, you know, like, it's amazing what's happened, but I've just never seen anything like it. And I said, so what you're telling me is it could be worse, but it could be better, but ultimately weird eyes. Yeah, thanks very much. You've been absolutely wonderful. Enjoy your lives. I've been Si-Clops. Cheers.